I'm Laura Mitchell, 35, a lieutenant at the Tacoma base. Birthdays aren't my thing, no fuss, no frills. But this one was different. My family threw a party at my parents' place, and my sister handed me a gift box, her smile too wide. I was about to open it when my commander, who'd stopped by, grabbed my arm. "Don't touch it," he said, his voice low. I froze. "What's going on?" I asked. He pointed at the label, Silverline Imports. It wasn't just a logo. It was trouble. 15 minutes later, military police swarmed the backyard, their boots heavy on the grass. My sister's face went pale, and my parents started whispering. I stood there, the box in my hands, heart pounding, wondering how a birthday gift could unravel my life. Something was wrong, and I was about to find out what. If you've ever had a family moment turn into a nightmare, drop your story in the comments. Hit subscribe to catch how this one ends. You won't believe what happened next. My commander, James Carter, was pacing by the patio table, his jaw tight. He motioned for me to leave. When we got home, he said, "Open it carefully," his voice steady but urgent. "But don't touch anything inside." I set the box on the kitchen counter, my fingers brushing the Silverline Imports label. It was too neat, too professional for a birthday gift. I peeled back the tape, revealing a stack of decorative vases, cheap, glossy knockoffs. My stomach twisted. I'd seen these before. Last month, I'd visited my sister's apartment in Seattle. Her living room was cluttered with boxes just like this one, all stamped with that same logo. She'd laughed it off, saying she was trying something new with her art business. I hadn't pushed, but now it hit me, this wasn't just a gift. It was a clue. James leaned over, his eyes narrowing at the vases. "Silverline Imports is under federal investigation," he said. "They're tied to fraudulent shipments, fake goods, shady deals. This box, it's evidence." My mind raced. Why would my sister give me something like this? I needed answers. I grabbed my phone and dialed my mom, Margaret Mitchell. She picked up on the second ring, her voice dripping with that overly sweet tone she used when she wanted to avoid trouble. "Laura, honey, is everything okay?" That was quite a scene at the party. I gripped the phone tighter. The gift from my sister. "What do you know about it?" I asked, keeping my tone even. She hesitated just a beat too long. "Oh, it's just a little something she thought you'd like," she said. You know how creative she is. Creative? That was one way to put it. I pressed harder. "Mom, this box has a logo from a company under investigation. Why is it in my hands?" Her laugh was forced, brittle. "You're overthinking, Laura. It's just a gift." But I wasn't buying it. That pause, that tone, it was the same one she used when my sister got into trouble before, when I was expected to clean up the mess. I hung up, my pulse hammering. James was watching me, his arms crossed. "What's the deal with your sister?" he asked. I didn't want to admit it, but the pieces were falling into place. My sister, Emily Mitchell, was always the free spirit, the one who could do no wrong in my parents' eyes. Growing up, I was the responsible one, straight A student, military career, always fixing her mistakes. Like the time she borrowed my credit card for art supplies and racked up $2,000 in charges. I'd paid it off like always. But this felt bigger, darker. If she was tied to Silverline Imports, she wasn't just being reckless. She was playing with fire. I turned to James. "I need to know more about this company," I said. He nodded, pulling out his phone to text someone at the base. "I'll get you access to the investigation files," he said. "But Laura, if your sister's involved, this could get messy. For you, for your career." I knew he was right. As a lieutenant, any hint of scandal could derail my promotion. But I couldn't let this go. I had to know what Emily was hiding and why she'd dragged me into it. The vases were just the start. I needed hard proof, and Sophie Turner, my friend and a sergeant at the Tacoma base, was the one to help me find it. The next morning, I met her in the base's IT room, where she'd pulled some strings to access secure servers. "Let's dig into Silverline Imports." I said, my laptop open to a DoD database James had unlocked for me. Sophie's fingers flew across her keyboard, pulling up email threads tied to the company. Within an hour, we founded a bank account under my name, Lieutenant Laura Mitchell, linked to a contract for Silverline Imports to supply equipment to a military contractor. My name, my rank, my signature. Except I'd never signed anything. My blood ran cold. This wasn't just fraud. It was a Department of Defense matter, and my career was hanging by a thread. Sophie scrolled through the records, her face grim. "This account was opened 3 months ago," she said. "It's tied to a $500,000 loan for business expenses. The contract's got your name all over it, Laura." I stared at the screen, the forged signature staring back like a betrayal. Only one person could have done this, my sister Emily. She'd always been the free spirit chasing art dreams while I played the responsible one. But forging my name on a DoD contract worth $500,000, that was a new low even for her. If the Army thought I was involved, I could kiss my promotion goodbye, maybe even face a court-martial under the uniform code. I grabbed my phone and called Emily. She answered on the 4th ring, her voice light like nothing was wrong. "Hey Laura, what's up?" she said. I didn't bother with small talk. "There's a bank account in my name tied to Silverline Imports," I said, my tone flat. "A DoD contract with my signature for $500,000. Explain it." Her laugh was quick, too sharp. "You're joking, right? I don't know anything about that." "Must be a mix-up." "A mix-up." My grip tightened on the phone. "This isn't a game," I said. "My name's on a fake contract. This could ruin me." She went quiet, then snapped, "You're always so dramatic. Maybe someone stole your info. Don't pin this on me." She hung up before I could respond. Typical Emily dodge, deflect, disappear. I was still fuming when my phone buzzed again. It was my mom, Margaret Mitchell. "Laura, we need to talk," she said, her voice soft but firm. I knew that tone. It was her fix, this voice. "What's this about, Emily?" I asked, already bracing myself. "Your dad and I heard about your call," she said. "You're upsetting her, Laura. She's sensitive. Whatever this is, let it go. We're family." I clenched my jaw. "Mom, she used my name on a military contract. This could ruin me." She sighed like I was the problem. "You're strong, Laura. Emily's not. Don't tear this family apart over a mistake." My dad, Thomas Mitchell, got on the line. "She's right," he said. "Don't make this public. It'll hurt us all." I hung up my hands, shaking. They were doing it again, protecting Emily, expecting me to clean up her mess. Growing up, I'd covered for her bad grades, her missed rent, her borrowed credit card. But this wasn't a small favor. This was my name on a DoD fraud case worth $500,000. Sophie looked at me, her eyes steady. "What's your next move?" she asked. I took a deep breath. "We keep digging," I said. "I need every email, every transaction. If Emily's behind this, I'm not letting her hide." Sophie nodded, already pulling up more files. My parents wanted silence, but I wasn't their fixer anymore. I was done playing the good daughter. It was time to face my family with the truth. On Saturday, I drove to my parents' house in Seattle, a folder of printed emails and a forged contract tucked under my arm. Sophie had helped me pull the documents from the DoD database, and they were damning a contract with Silverline Imports signed with my name, Lieutenant Laura Mitchell, for a fake equipment deal worth $500,000. My stomach churned as I parked outside the familiar craftsman-style house. This wasn't just about money. It was my career, my reputation on the line. If I didn't act, the Army might think I was complicit in a Department of Defense fraud case. I took a deep breath and walked inside, ready for a fight. My mom, Margaret Mitchell, greeted me at the door, her smile tight. "Laura, you didn't say you were coming?" she said, her voice edged with worry. My dad, Thomas Mitchell, was in the living room flipping through a newspaper. My sister Emily sat on the couch, her phone in hand, acting like nothing was wrong. I didn't waste time. I dropped the folder on the coffee table, the papers spilling out. "This contract has my name on it," I said, my voice steady. Signed for Silverline Imports to supply fake equipment to a military contractor worth $500,000. Explain it. Emily's eyes flicked to the papers, then back to her phone. I don't know what you're talking about, she said, her tone flippant. Sounds like a mistake. A mistake? My hands clenched. This isn't a mix-up, I said, pointing to the forged signature. My name, my rank on a DoD contract. This could get me court-martialed. My mom stepped forward, her hands clasped. Laura, calm down, she said. You're making a scene. Emily wouldn't do this. My dad set his paper down, his face stern. She's right, Laura. You're blowing this out of proportion. It's probably just a clerical error. I opened the folder, pulling out an email chain Sophie had found. This email sent from your account. Emily confirms the deal, I said. It's addressed to a contractor promising delivery of equipment that doesn't exist. My name's all over it. Emily's face paled, but she shrugged. Someone must have hacked me, she said, her voice sharp. Why are you always blaming me? I stared at her, the same excuse she'd used for every mess I'd cleaned up: her failed art shows, her unpaid bills. But this wasn't a bill I could pay off. This was my life. My mom's voice softened, that familiar fix, this tone. Laura, you're the strong one, she said. Emily's struggling. If this is a mistake, don't make it worse. We're family. My dad nodded. Think about our reputation, he said. If you take this to the authorities, it'll ruin us all. I felt the air leave the room. They were doing it again, closing ranks around Emily, expecting me to take the hit. Growing up, I'd been the one to fix her mistakes to keep the peace. But this time, it wasn't just about family. It was about my integrity, my career. No, I said, my voice cutting through the silence. I'm not covering for her anymore. This contract could land me in front of a military board. I'm reporting it. Emily stood, her eyes flashing. You're so perfect, aren't you? She snapped. Always playing the hero. You'll destroy everything just to prove a point. My mom grabbed my arm. Laura, please, she said. We can fix this quietly. I pulled away, my resolve hardening. You want to protect her, fine, I said. But I'm protecting myself. I gathered the papers and walked out, their voices fading behind me. This wasn't over, but I was done playing their game. I called Sophie the next day and we got to work. In her office at the Tacoma base, we spread out every document we'd pulled from the DoD database. Sophie, with her knack for tech, traced IP logs from the email account tied to Silverline Imports. These emails came from a Seattle IP, she said, her voice steady. Same area as your parents' house. My jaw tightened. It wasn't a hacker like Emily claimed. It was her. We spent days cross-referencing transaction records. Sophie found a chain of emails between the fake account in my name and a shady contractor confirming delivery of non-existent equipment. The deal was worth $500,000 funneled through a bank account I'd never opened. Each piece of evidence felt like a nail in the coffin of my sister's lies. But it wasn't enough to just know the truth. I needed a legal case. James had connected me with Agent Brooks, a federal investigator working the Silverline Imports case for the DoD. He's expecting you, James said. Bring everything you've got. I met Brooks at a federal building in downtown Tacoma, a gray office that smelled of coffee and bureaucracy. Agent Brooks, a man in his 40s with a no-nonsense stare, shook my hand firmly. Lieutenant Mitchell, he said, your commander says you've got something on Silverline Imports. I handed him a binder, pages, meticulously organized IP logs, email threads, bank statements, and the forged contract with my name. This account was opened using my identity. I said, my voice calm but firm. I didn't sign this contract. My sister Emily did. Brooks flipped through the binder, his eyes scanning each page. This is solid, he said. The IP logs tie the emails to a specific location. We can work with this. I explained everything: Emily's history of dodging responsibility, the boxes in her apartment, her flippant denial when I confronted her. Brooks listened, jotting notes. If this checks out, he said, we're looking at federal charges, fraud, identity theft, maybe more, given the DoD angle. My stomach twisted. I wanted justice, but the thought of my sister facing prison hit hard. Still, I couldn't back down. "What's next?" I asked. Brooks leaned back. "We'll verify these documents and trace the funds. If your sister's behind this, she's in deep." "You did the right thing coming forward, Lieutenant." Back at the base, Sophie helped me finalize the report. We added timestamps from the email servers and cross-checked bank transactions to prove the account was active during Emily's art venture period. Every detail locked into place, building a case that even my parents couldn't dismiss. I thought about their pleas to keep it in the family, but this wasn't just about them anymore. My name was on a $500,000 scam, and the Army wouldn't care about family loyalty if they thought I was involved. Under the Uniform Code, any hint of complicity could mean a court-martial. I wasn't risking that. By the end of the week, I sent Brooks the final report, a digital copy backed up on a secure drive. He called to confirm receipt. "We're moving forward," he said. "This could take down Silverline Imports and anyone tied to it." I nodded, my resolve firm. Emily had made her choices, and I'd made mine. I wasn't the family fixer anymore. I was a lieutenant protecting my future. 2 months after handing Brooks the evidence, I stood in a courtroom in Tacoma, ready to face the truth. The federal courthouse was cold, its wooden benches packed with lawyers and onlookers. I adjusted my uniform, the weight of my lieutenant's bars grounding me. Today wasn't just about clearing my name, it was about holding my sister accountable for a $500,000 fraud that had nearly destroyed my career. The judge called the case, and I took the stand. My heart steady, despite the eyes on me. Agent Brooks sat in the front row, his nod giving me strength. I was here to end this, no matter how much it hurt. The prosecutor laid out the case against Silverline Imports, detailing the fake equipment deal tied to the Department of Defense. My name, Lieutenant Laura Mitchell, had been forged on a contract worth $500,000, a scheme to funnel money through a sham company. I testified about the evidence. Sophie and I had uncovered IP logs tracing emails to my parents' neighborhood bank statements, showing funds moving through an account I never opened, and emails confirming the deal from an account linked to my sister. I had no knowledge of this contract, I said, my voice clear. My identity was used without my consent. Emily sat at the defendant's table, her face pale, her usual confidence gone. When her lawyer called her to testify, she stood, her hands fidgeting. "I didn't mean for it to go this far," she said, her voice cracking. "I needed money for my art business. I used Laura's name because I thought it would help get the deal through." The courtroom went quiet. My chest tightened, not from anger but from the sting of her admission. She'd known exactly what she was doing, risking my career for her own gain. The judge's gavel hit, and Emily was sentenced to 2 years of probation and community service. No prison, but her record was stained, her art dreams tainted. My parents, Margaret and Thomas Mitchell, were in the gallery, their faces drawn. The prosecutor revealed they were under investigation for attempting to conceal Emily's actions, based on my testimony about their pressure to keep it in the family. No charges had been filed yet, but the scrutiny was enough to crack their perfect family image. My mom's eyes met mine, pleading, but I looked away. They'd chosen Emily over me, over justice, and now they faced the fallout. The judge cleared me of any wrongdoing, confirming my name was clean with the Army. My promotion was safe, my career intact. But as I left the stand, I felt no triumph, just a hollow ache. Outside the courthouse, Sophie waited for me, her uniform crisp. "You did it," she said, her voice soft. "You're free." I nodded, but the weight of my family's betrayal lingered. My parents had sent texts begging me to reconsider, to fix this for Emily's sake. But I was done being their scapegoat. The courtroom had given me justice, but it couldn't mend what was broken between us. Emily's actions had torn our family apart, and my parents' silence had sealed the rift. I walked away, ready to move forward, even if it meant leaving them behind. After the courtroom, I walked away from my family for good. It was time to rebuild my life. The weeks following the trial were quiet but not peaceful. My phone buzzed with texts from my mom, Margaret Mitchell, and my dad, Thomas Mitchell, asking me to talk things out for Emily's sake. I didn't respond. My sister's actions forging my name on a $500,000 contract had cost me too much. Their pleas to keep it quiet had only deepened the wound. I deleted their messages, blocked their numbers, and focused on what I could control: my career at Joint Base Lewis McChord. Back at the base, I threw myself into work. My commander assigned me to lead a new logistics project, a chance to prove myself after months of scrutiny. The weight of my lieutenant's bars felt heavier now, a reminder of what I'd fought to protect. I spent long hours in the office coordinating supply chains and mentoring younger soldiers. Sophie was there as always, checking in during breaks. "You're doing okay," she said one day, handing me a coffee. "Better than okay." I smiled, grateful for her support. She'd been my rock through the investigation, never questioning my choice to pursue the truth. Cutting ties with my family wasn't easy. Growing up, I'd been the one to hold things together, covering for Emily's mistakes, smoothing over arguments. But this time, their betrayal was too deep. Emily never apologized, never acknowledged the risk she'd put me in. My parents' silence during the trial, their willingness to protect her over me, made it clear where their loyalties lay. I didn't hate them, but I couldn't keep carrying their baggage. Setting that boundary was painful, but it was also freeing. For the first time, I was choosing myself. As I settled into my routine, I started to see the lessons in it all. Standing up for the truth had saved my career, but it had also shown me my own strength. I'd spent years trying to please my family, thinking it was my duty. But duty doesn't mean sacrificing your integrity. The Army taught me that, and this ordeal carved it into my core. I learned to trust my instincts, to lean on friends like Sophie and James, and to walk away from people who couldn't respect my worth. Those lessons weren't just for me, they were for anyone facing their own battles. To everyone who's followed this story, thank you. Sharing this hasn't been easy, but your support means the world. If you've ever had to stand up for what's right, even when it hurts, I hope my journey resonates with you. Please hit that subscribe button, it helps me keep sharing stories like this. Let's keep pushing forward together.